All right, sir, go ahead.
So the last thing I wanted to say was just, I think the way they've gone about this has been a model for these types of things. I attended an open house at the VFW. I saw a lot of the pictures and the design and met these gentlemen there. So I think that they've anticipated a lot of neighbor concerns. They've taken them into account. I think just that dialogue there is obviously they are doing all they can to remain a good neighbor, and so I just wanted to express my appreciation for that and my support for the project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else want to speak? Last chance.
Well, not last chance.
Well,
We got
last
next
chance
time.
for tonight.
Continue this.
You made a motion?
Yeah, I second it.
Great.
All right, so all those in favor of tabling? Aye. Great, okay. Continuing, sorry, continuing.
I'm in favor.
Yes, Tom? No, I guess not. All right, do we need to reopen?
Continue. DDR.
Attorney Nuff.
Which point of order, who was here last time?
For Attorney Nuff was here.
I was not here, but I watched the at 3 a.m. on Saturday, so I will can vote for tonight.
Okay, you watched the video?
I was here.
I wasn't here and I watched it.
You watched the video, so everyone can vote.
Good. Okay.
Thank you.
Counselor.
Good evening, John Nuff, 147 Broad Street, Guilford, Connecticut, on behalf of DDR Guilford LLC. This is obviously our second of the two required hearings in regard to our proposed regulation amendment regarding signage in the SCW zone. Very quick recap from last time. We talked about three things in particular. One is that through our regulations and our zoning approval, we have the strictest requirements on our signage of any property in Guilford that's located in a commercial zone, and that's because of the type of signs, the wattage that we propose, and the fact that our lights, including our signs, have to be turned off when the last door, an hour after the last door closes. We also talked about where one typically finds externally illuminated signs, and we gave you some regulations from nearby towns and talked about how those are typically in areas where you would find a heavy pedestrian use, the village area, obviously on the Guilford Town Green. Typically, there would be locations where the signs are above storefront windows, maybe 10 to 15 feet high. None of those characteristics are applicable to our sites, and I think you'll see in a moment that when you want to create that sort of village ambiance, external lighting of signs is a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the only piece. And I'm going to show you some examples. And then the other piece that we talked about last week is the light outputs from internally illuminated signs. And I know that Mr. DeAndrew wasn't here, so we had a copy for him. I got it. Mr. Walls. Oh,
We're in here right there. John.
well, Reggie obviously doing a good job. And obviously, those photometric studies demonstrate that there is less light impact and less glare from an internally illuminated sign than there is from externally illuminated signs. So, what we're going to show you tonight is the fact that externally illuminated signs do not, on their own, create any sort of colonial or traditional look or feel or the ambiance of a village street. External lighting is not some sort of magic wand that you can apply to a sign and give it that sort of village green atmosphere. And you think about, 12 over 12 double hung windows look terrific in certain types of houses. If you have a federal style house or if you have a 1700 salt box, a 12 over 12 window looks terrific. You put it in a lot of other houses, a more modern house, a more contemporary, it's not going to give it a traditional feel, it's just going to look silly. And so I think that's what the DRC was thinking when they approved our request for internal illumination on the tower, because as we said, it's just not the type of location that you would expect to find internally illuminated signs. And so we came up with some examples. Now, hand these out as well. Of both internal and externally illuminated signs. Oh. Sorry, I apologize. We don't have hard copies. I'll leave this board. So the whole point of this is that, so you see a number of examples of internally illuminated signs that are really quite attractive. Patriot Bank, Borders, Brooks Brothers, Tiffany, Starbucks. These are traditional type of laser cuts, individual letters that we are required to have. We can't, as I noted last week, we cannot have box signs like you would see down at CVS in their pylon sign. All of our letters, including the tower and anywhere on the site, are going to be these types of internally illuminated signs. So here's some examples of externally illuminated signs. So you have some where you have sort of the surplus of gooseneck fixtures. Same thing here where the lighting is uneven. You have some glare depending on where your perspective is. I mean, you have like just a really bland, unattractive domino sign that would technically meet your requirement of external illumination, but there's no charm, there's no character to be derived from that. Same thing with there's a Fred Astaire dance studio. Nothing charming, nothing colonial, nothing heartwarming about that sort of external illumination. And there's another one. This is a home rental store. So you see it looks a little bit busy with lots of lights. You have uneven lighting, which is frankly what we have on our tower element now, as opposed to just a very clean, sort of a much more upscale looking sign that's going to have less light impact. So, picture speaks 1,000 words, and I think these do as well. And I'm just going to point out some of the notes on the plan. This was prepared by our architects, Creates, and as they note, the lighting can be uneven. Hot spots that are too bright while other areas are too dark. Lights can cause reflections on the sign materials, diminishing readability. The fixtures can create a cluttered look that distracts from the sign. Even in the daytime, the gooseneck fixtures can cast shadows on the signs, making them hard to read. External lighting can cast extended shadows on letters, making them hard to read at night. So those sorts of things you won't find on the green because they're meant to be read at a closer distance. As I noted last week, our height differential from the roadbed of Route 1 to the location of these signs is approximately 84 feet. And certainly that's not the area in which anyone would anticipate trying to create a village or a town green field. So as I said, happy to answer any questions. I think there's a question from last time as to when our last door closed, and it's Bed Bath & Beyond that closes at 10 o'clock every night. So that's what our standard operating procedure is. It's not to say that it will close at 10 o'clock every night, 365 days a year, but that is the typical closing time, the typical latest closing time of any store at the center.
Now, you made a big explanation about how one of the stores is giving up their lighting on the back for the lighting on the tower, if I remember right.
Yes, Michael's had the right, and I'll show you on our plan.
My question centers to how big the sign is going to be on the tower.
It's actually going to be smaller on the tower than what was approved on the back side. So, this is what your current regulations, if this amendment does not pass, we are allowed to put a Michael's sign on the back of the Michael's building. And maybe Andrew, can you scale out what the size differential is? You should be able to do that. And so we'd simply be taking the Michael sign, making it smaller, and moving it to the tower. And if you give Andrew a minute or two, he'll tell you exactly what the size differential is.
Earth.
Approximately
It's an earthquake.
2.2.
I'm in California.
No, just the area.
So the Michael sign, and this is the actual sign plan that's in your regs. The Michael sign here is less than half the size of it on the back of the building itself.
Do we know what that size is? Is it
Well-
3 feet? Is it 2 feet? Is it a foot?
This is about 22 feet, 10 inches wide by 6 feet, so that is the total square footage of
138 square feet.
238. And the dimension of all three signs here is 14 by 14 essentially.
So each sign, so this sign, Michael's would be 4.5 feet by 14 as compared to 22 by 6.
Okay. Do you want square footages?
No.
Okay.
So 4.5 foot high? Is that right?
Yes.
And
This one's 6.
the one that says the Guilford Common or whatever that script green.
Guilford Commons. It's not dimensioned on the plan. It's going to be a little bit wider than 14 feet, but probably about 2 feet high because it's about half the height of the other two.
And it's going to be steady illuminated. It's not going to be blinking or anything.
No blinking. Only on your birthday.
Promise? Is this a condition of approval? It's Harry Potter's birthday too.
Star date.
Any questions?
Nope.
Any other things to tell us?
That's it.
Excuse me, wasn't there a question came up of some residential area didn't like the lighting from their view?
There is no residential area that can see these signs.
There is apparently, I'm not that familiar with it. It's a little bit higher, I guess, and I guess at night it was affecting their view, and I was wondering,
Well,
Can lower something.
we've been here many nights. I haven't heard.
well, I'm trying to remember where I heard it from. I don't know, was in here or outside?
There's got to be less light, right?
Pardon
Than
me?
Well,
there is
yes,
now.
exactly. I mean,
So if there's a problem, it's going to be
Well,
less of a problem.
This sign, the signs that we're talking about, do not point anywhere towards any residential
Yeah,
area.
no, I mean, it sounded
so
from
there are
like,
these two corners, and the nearest residential zone is on the other side of
yeah, it's up
Stony
higher.
Brook.
Yeah, it's up higher.
So they may have been tucking some lights in the parking lot.
It might have been parking lot
And
lights,
you
I
don't have
think.
the trees out now.
Probably.
And the trees aren't out.
I mean, the trees aren't out, you're right.
No,
When there are no leaves.
and the tower is illuminated only on the Route 1 and 95 side.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're in a shopping center west zone, so we have no residences that it's aimed at.
Exactly.
Any other questions?
Got an opinion.
I'm sure Brian has something to add. Brian, come on, share.
Come on, do your thing.
Brian McClone, ladies and gentlemen.
He deserves a hand. Do a great job.
I wasn't sure procedurally how this does work. I did comment at the last hearing, so I wasn't sure.
I want to give you every opportunity.
Well, and oh, thank you, Rich, I appreciate that. I don't know how much more I can add, but I guess I will reiterate because maybe not everybody was sitting here, I don't recall. I did indicate in my opinion, you know, and well, not just my opinion, if you look at this plaza is good for Guilford. It's good for Guilford, it's bringing new products, different services to town. It's creating employment opportunities. We're going to grow the grand list as a result of this plaza, and that'll have positive tax implications to the town. So we want this plaza to be as successful as we possibly can to make it successful. This request is good for Guilford. The name, the Guilford Commons, I know that's an area of concern of yours, Rich, but I think that's important that it gets added so that as people are coming by, basically from 95 and to a lesser degree on Route 1, they're going to be able to see this and know where they are, particularly the people going by on 95. They see the plaza. Hopefully it will get people off the highway. Millions of cars a day or a month go by here. We want to get people off the highway into town, and hopefully they not only go to the plaza, but come in and explore all other parts of Guilford, Route 1 and our green area and other places to shop. Again, you talked about the lighting location, basically visible from Route 1 and 95 or the on and off ramps. I don't think, to your point, George, any residential, there might be one house over on Route 1. It's not like it's really backing up or in front of a large number of residential properties.
I'll tell you about it if I get a comment on it.
Okay. And then I guess I just, again, look at, I don't know if two wrongs make a right, but throughout Guilford, this style of lighting is used in many different plazas, businesses, shops, restaurants. And I'm just struggling to understand why we'd want to differentiate how we look at this plaza versus the other plazas. So I am encouraging us to support these changes. I think, again, it's good for the plaza, good for Guilford, and I'd like to see it happen. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Brian McGlone, ladies and gentlemen. Stephen,
The famous.
second part of the tag team, come on up.
I have nothing.
Nothing?
Nope. I said it all last time.
My heart's weak. Last comment, chance, anybody? Anything? Mark? Nothing to add? Good. All right. So,
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. So can I get an approval for the revised agenda?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Let's deliberate. We only deliberate on DDR. right?
Yes.
Yep. What do you think, Ray?
I think it's an improvement over what's there now. I go by there many times. The glare is extreme. It's very hard to read the sign that's up there. I think this will look a lot better than what's there and will make the building look a lot better than the way it presently looks in the evening with the way the light is. And there is quite a bit of spillage off it and glare. So I'm all in favor of it.
So what do you make of the aesthetics thing? You could buy into the whole thing that the surface slit lighting is
I don't see
no
how
different?
you can argue that this is not an improvement, given the fact that there's less glare, it looks better, you can hardly read the signs now if you're on Route 1, and there's a lot more spillage coming off there, so there's less light being generated, there's less light going off-prem, that's an improvement right there. You can't even read when you're on Route 1 very well what is up there. I see this looking a lot more professional, a lot better.
Piggybacking off that a little bit, I personally have very little to zero experience in design and aspects of what's pretty or not pretty, and
Well, you know what you like.
in not even that, but in a position like this, when the applicant agrees with what our design review committee has said, I would defer to the design review committee personally, and I think that's a, you know, I know a lot of the members of the design review committee. I know they take their position pretty seriously, and they wouldn't, you know, say that something looks good when it doesn't. I'm sure Frank's had his own run-ins with design review, and he's had, you know, so I defer to design review on something like this. And, you know, there are times when we have not gone with design review, and I think those were times when the applicant has said, you know, I'm not really pleased with what design review committee had said. But I think as a point of, maybe we should get a motion to have discussions about that.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So I'll make a motion. Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve an amendment to the zoning code 273-206B3 pursuant to the amendment proposed by DDR. This amendment is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the Planning, Conservation, and Development. The amendment is effective on January 29th, 2016.
Second.
Okay. What do you think, Frank?
I am definitely going to support this. As similar to Ray, I drive by it almost every night. I see what it looks like now. I'd also encourage them to figure out their entrance signs because they look terrible. They're all blurry the way the light is cast on them, but that's not on the table right now.
Oh, that's over on the...
On the entrance ones.
Yeah.
But that's, like I said, but I think this is definitely an improvement aesthetically. I do, no, I'm not going to say that, so I support it.
Okay. Bill?
I was going to say something.
Yeah, I certainly understand where they're coming from in terms of the visibility. I think I would disagree that the feel of it isn't going to be changed by changing it from the center cut lights to, you know, the signs that are externally illuminated. You know, in looking at the photos, I think you can find photos that support either way you want to go with it.
I agree. I agree. And Ray, you've already weighed in. Tom?
I'm going to support it. Every time I drive by the Clinton Crossing, and I've driven by this on the turnpike, what's really gaudy to me is the sign that's coming down. The sign that you're taking off the wall behind the store that's now going to be up on the tower.
Right, that said Michael's.
That said Michael. To me, that's gaudy.
I don't
I don't think there's one up there right now.
Huh?
I don't
Is there
think
one up?
it's...
There's not one up there.
No, they never put it up. You see it.
Oh, Michael's is up there? No, it's up on the tower, but it's not
Yeah,
up on the
it's on the
side.
tower.
Yeah, but it's not up on where they...
No.
No,
I think
but
it would look
you
worse.
have a right to put a large sign on the back of that building.
Not if we approve this, Tom.
And that's my point
Right.
exactly. If we approve this, they're not going to put that sign up on the building, and that's what I think is gaudy.
Yeah, I agree.
If that went up, that would look gaudy to me, and I don't think it's appropriate for Guilford. I think this is appropriate for Guilford.
George?
I'll support it.
Too bad we don't have a fresh market up there. And
I had all these remarks prepared, and everybody's taking away my thunder.
I'm sorry.
I
take it all back.
All right, go ahead for it.
My first thing is, what is there now is second class. We talk about comparing how things look to Bridgeport or anything else. I mean, this is ridiculous, the way it is now. This is, whatever's going to be up there is an improvement. Design review has weighed in on it. We have referred some of our people to design review, as much as sending the Planet, whatever their name is, to design review their collection boxes.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The garbage dumpster.
So,
Planet Fitness.
and the applicant, I'm not going to say much more, but the applicant has put up with us over the years for, I don't know how, I can't, at least 8 or 9 years now. And, you know, let's give them a break for a change. And the other thing is, if somebody wants to look into how we do business or how we treat our applicants, let's get on with it.
Good.
I support it.
Thank you.
By the way, we got to stop banging on Bridgeport. There's a certain mayor that doesn't like us for keep banging on him.
Take care of us. So I was thinking, you know, I spent this last weekend. I spent in Times Square, and you know how they have that pole with the ball that comes down? We could start a Guilford tradition on that tower if we had a pole with a ball that dropped.
On your birthday?
Oh no, but it's a great suggestion. You get more business in. It'd be good for business for Guilford. It would drive more of our grand list. It would be great. I'm sure Brian agrees with that. So. I can see why you want it. You obviously have the votes. I'm going to stick with my original. I don't like it so much, but that's okay. You're already going to win. So I'll call the vote. All those in favor of it?
Aye.
All those against it? 2-5. You have it, sir. Congratulations. Good luck. And think about the ball on New Year's Eve. Seriously.
I was going to do I was going to ask him before we voted when they're going to get the Ruby Tuesday in down there so we can start having hamburgers.
Not Ruby Tuesdays.
No?
All right. Well, congratulations, Attorney Nuff. Good job. I'll see you in 2 months. Maybe sooner.
Back to next item.
Town of Guilford.
Oh, no, don't we have DDR on here again?
Yes,
Yes.
DDR again.
What now?
Site
Site
plan.
plan.
Site-
Receive and request action.
Okay, so what do you got? Can I get a motion?
Motion to receive, I'll make a motion to receive.
Second.
All right, so
All in favor?
you want to call?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye, okay.
Sure, I'll handle this part. I didn't realize that there was an opportunity to speak, but what Reggie has explained is that our original site plan application approved retail and 2 restaurants. We now have 2 tenants that we're talking to, both of which we do consider retail in our world, but because of their services, I guess you guys classify them differently. One is a pet store that offers veterinary services sort of as an ancillary service, so it takes up about 10% of the store footprint, the area that they offer this. But nonetheless, I guess that requires a revised site plan application. Veterinary services are an approved use in our zone, from what I understand. The other is a personal service, hair salon type of use, in about a little bit less than a 3,000 square foot space. Both of those are identified on plans that I've provided to Reggie. Don't have them on boards, but hopefully you have those.
So veterinary services, are they going to do surgery on animals and things, or?
I think it's more of a good comparison would be like a Minute Clinic and a CVS. It's more like a less.
Probably like a Petco.
Go So not, I mean, so if you've been to other pet stores, this would not be the grooming area that they have set aside, this is actually veterinary.
There's 1,000 square feet in a 10,000 square foot store. They offer grooming services as well as veterinary services
In that same
in that same space. So they consider it an ancillary use, an ancillary service. It's not their primary business, they're a retail pet supply store.
I have a letter from Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, dated the 19th, regarding the application. The applicant's proposed addition of veterinary services to a pet store business is compatible with the septic system currently serving the shopping center.
What about the salon?
Well, he didn't reference the salon, but the fact that he didn't, he saw, he doesn't have a problem, I would assume.
Well, any other questions?
Frank, the only question I have, and it's not really relevant, but is this is up on the area that's already built?
Yeah, so the pet store is the last space in Building B, which is the larger, the two that are still somewhat vacant. The hair salon is going at the end cap of Building A, which is the first one on the right side when you're pulling it.
The one that has nobody in it now?
Correct.
No, I didn't mean it that way.
Ray, anything?
Nothing, no, I'm,
Josh?
They're not a hair
Do you have a
salon.
memo from the health director?
I read that in.
Tom, anything?
Yeah, I asked them if they get any good restaurants, good steakhouse up there.
You know somebody that's
There isn't
interested?
a good one around here. Well, there's a couple down in the other shopping center in North down there that I
Get
think
Ruth
about.
Chris to come down and put a place.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve an application by DDR LLC, 1919 Boston Post Road, for a site plan revision to add veterinary services and a retail pet store tenant space, as well as to add the new use for a hair salon in the tenant space.
Second.
Ooh, man, they're just racing to second this. We have 2 seconds, but that's good. Any other comments, any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. You got it, thank you. Opposed? Abstentions? Nobody else. It's good. So, March, we'll see you guys next. Okay, Town of Guilford. We need to open this?
Well, it's a motion to, I'll make a motion to receive the Town of Guilford application.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Mark, you're up, buddy.
Good evening, I'm Mark Damiani, Assistant Town Engineer for the Town of Guilford. I'm here to present the reconstruction of the Water Street parking lot.
Ooh, nice.
And the town has identified the Water Street parking lot in need of repair, and as a result of that, the town has received from the state a grant through bonding for $450,000. And also, in order to have that grant, the town has to match it with 10%. As a result of this grant, the town has proceeded with design plans for redesign of the lot. One thing that's interesting about the parking lot, as you can see on this drawing, is that the parking lot is on several parcels of land. One which is owned by the town, which is this one here. And as a result of that, the town has already had several meetings with the property owners and the merchants to get their input as to the redesign of the lot. And what you'll see tonight is the result of those meetings and the input. I'd like to just go quickly over the existing layout of the parking lot. This is Water Street, Whitfield Street. This is, as you know, the main entrance coming in. There's a lane coming in, lane coming out, and then there's a row of, double row here of diagonal parking. And the parking lot is in the Commercial Village C1 district, and it's also straddles the Town Center Historic District. This black line is the Historic District line. This area of the lot being in the Historic District, and this not. The yellow line, this is the gas service from the street. There's one coming in from Water Street, one coming in from Whitfield Street. The orange is a water line coming to this building. The other buildings have water service, which pretty much is coming from the street. And the parking lot is paved, but the pavement is in poor condition. And right now, there's about 157 parking spaces here. And there's also a small area here that's going to be included with this whole project. It's the space behind Cilantro's. That's about 10 spaces. So you have about 167 parking spaces, 6 which are handicapped. But the parking spaces are not all the same size, they're not uniform. And that's pretty much what we have for the existing conditions. So this next...
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When
Yeah.
you say 100, does that include the parking lots that are over on this end, next to the wine, is it the wine bar?
Yeah,
That-
correct.
That's all included in the project?
Yes, everything,
Everything that's a parking spot there is included?
yes, as it is today, as it's striped
Okay,
today.
all right, good.
This is the proposed redesign of the parking lot. As you know, again, this is the entrance from Water Street. It's proposed to have the travel lanes in the middle of the town-owned parcel, and to have the parking spaces, if you can see this, set back along the buildings. And there's going to be a planted center island about 25 feet in diameter. There's also going to be, let's see, the aqua shaded areas. That's a proposed sidewalk, which is going to be built in front of the buildings. And the sidewalk will be a minimum of 5 feet wide, maybe larger in some areas. And there's also going to be some islands, concrete islands, that would be connected with a painted crosswalk to provide for a better pedestrian movement. The sidewalks, the curbing is going to be granite. Granite holds up better for winter when there's plowing, and the curb will be sloped down where there's the handicap parking spaces. So the sidewalks in the buildings will be handicap accessible. The sidewalks, the elevation of the sidewalks, they will be level with the entrances of the buildings, so there won't be any steps going into the buildings. Let's see. There's going to be a fire hydrant in the planted island. The water surface will be coming from Water Street. Then there will be a proposed new lighting plan, and it's going to be 27 lampposts at various locations along here on the sidewalk. We had a local light vendor sort of sketch something out for us, and the positions of the lampposts are where they have recommended, and the light posts are going to be the same design as those on the green, the same color and design, but these will be LED lighting, and they'll have 37 watts each one, 37 watts brightness. As far as the entire parking lot, the pavement will be pulverized, and it'll be rolled and graded, and it'll be resurfaced with asphalt. It'll be 3.5 inches thick. One thing I do want to note about that, with the exception of this lot, which is owned by the town, all these other, the rest of this parking lot underneath the asphalt is the septic systems for all these adjacent buildings. There is underneath the this portion where the town owns, there's a storm drainage system with catch basins, and it drains out to a storm system on Water Street. And it is proposed to upgrade this stormwater system to replace the pipes with gasketed plastic pipe and put new catch basin tops. During construction, we'll have the usual sedimentation hay bales and erosion control, and we'll have fabric underneath the grates to keep any silt from going down into the stormwater system. See the lights, and right now there's about 3 or 4 telephone poles through the parking lot, and that's how the electricity and the utilities are carried overhead. Those will remain, but there's 3-phase service there right now, which is not really utilized. So some of the wires will come down. We'll just have a two-phase service, so it'll look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And basically the lot will be restriped, and for the most part, the parking spaces will conform with the zoning regulations, 9 by 20 feet, except for in this area here, they're going to be a little bit short. They'll be about maybe 18 feet, but still the same width. And then there'll be maybe 2 or 3 spaces for compact cars. There'll be 7 handicap spaces. And then as far as the dumpster locations, there's one currently right here, and we proposed a couple of others. The dumpsters will be sort of camouflaged with vinyl white fencing, so it'll be more aesthetically pleasing. I guess that's pretty much it at the point, so if you have any questions or, yeah.
With this, the new plan, how many parking spots are there?
Yeah, there's, there'll be 145 regular with the 7 handicap, and then the 10 that are over here behind cilantro, so we get about 162. So we're a little bit short of what we had, but there will be, required with zoning regulations. They will be the required 9 by 20, most of them, with the exception of these here. There is a couple other things I wanted to, like I said, this island will be landscaped, and out in the front here, we're going to add a few trees to try to dress it up. As far as the rest of the landscaping, we discussed with the merchants, and it was not recommended, but it was sort of in support of having planted pots all along this sidewalk, and they would be able to be taken in the wintertime. Because there's one thing about plowing this, if the snow is not removed, then any permanent landscaping could get damaged from the snow because it would get piled at various locations. It's going to be, that's something we'll have to look into, how that's going to be handled, because really won't have much room to pile snow in the parking lots, parking spaces. And,
Are you gonna put parking meters in there?
no,
It's all free?
yeah, it's going to remain as it is now, yes. One thing, again, this is private, all this is privately owned, and back here, so it would be just this portion that's municipal property.
So Mark, are we using the funds that came from the state of Connecticut to improve private property? No.
Well, some of the parking is on private property. An application was made to the state, and I guess they didn't have any questions regarding that.
And that's all legitimate and legal?
As far as this one portion here is definitely town-owned.
Right, but the other areas that are private, we are sure that we are...
Mark, can I add in?
Yes.
Here?
Yes, Brian. Sure.
Yeah, the answer is yes. This is a collaboration between the town and private property owners, but on a broad basis, this parking area is almost considered a community lot.
Right.
And there are a couple of signs, where people are suggesting you only park here for these businesses, but generally speaking, it's recognized as a community open to the whole town. And to your point, George, the idea of pay meters or anything wasn't really even considered, because we are trying to make it easier for people to come into town and shop. And because there are these other technical owners of the property, we chose not to pursue that.
So Brian, would it be reasonable to ask that inasmuch as public funds are being used to improve this, would it be reasonable to ask that these signs that say this parking is limited to whatever are no longer there?
We are in conversations with all the property owners. And one of the things, Mark, while you pointed out a little bit about the sidewalks, you know, in a lot of regards, people look at this as the back lot, but for a lot of these businesses, this is their front space.
Right.
And so we have had and the idea of pulling the green, pulling the sidewalks, pulling the lighting in here, trying to bring the green into this back area has been all part of it. So we have had some preliminary discussions with all of the owners about freshening their space. Signs are part of it. There might be some other painting that they do to freshen up. And not all of them. Some of them look very good. Some could use some improvement. So we haven't put that as a requirement, Rich. I mean, I think we can talk more to them about that to kind of discourage it.
So right now, you know, I think there's one area which says this parking is only for, and by that, where those, I don't know what those are, those stairs going up to, I guess, apartments. So if I park my car there now, can they tow me and make me pay for that? Legally?
I'm going to say legally or technically, I guess they could.
It's a private parking lot.
But from a
Right, but
I
once
mean,
we
it's
use
every-
public funding for that private parking lot.
Still a private
Well,
parking lot.
and all I can say is in the meetings we've been having, the spirit of cooperation has been building. Like, for example, Mark pointed out the one trash container. In this process, there's been a couple over here traditionally on the corner that the food marketplace has been using, and also this building has been using that. And they've been collaborating together, and those are going to be sized a little bit bigger. They're putting a cardboard compactor in there, and they're going to be picked up. It's either daily or like 4 times a week. So that where we had trash containers in the past, in the corner here, they're going away. There is going to be some container over here that does support this midsection buildings, but it too will be fenced in, kind of similar to the stuff behind the CVS lot, for example. So,
Now, what do you make of the around the holidays? I know our friends at the marketplace. They have these large food
Trailers.
containers. So they're still going to have that, right?
yeah, they will. They will. And, you know, it's like one of the reasons, or by getting rid of the trash containers that have been in this corner, they will put a trailer in. They have plans to put an outside patio on the back of their property. They'll be in here, I'm sure, to show that, but we are taking that into consideration. So they will still be able to back a trailer against that building, but hopefully it'll be back a little bit closer to their building.
The proposed patio, will that be eating up even more of these parking spaces?
No, there's really no parking in the area where they're adding this. The one thing that will happen with this, and everybody kind of agreed to this, there's been a cut through between this lot through there, but everybody kind of recognized it's unsafe. So that's where their patio is going to go, so they will have some, what do you call it, pollard?
Portable fencing that bollards they'll be able to put
Bollards.
in and remove them during the winter.
For plowing.
You know, I found that if you're driving down Whitfield Street and there's a big SUV parked in the last parking spot before the crosswalk, it can be really problematic in terms of seeing people walking into the crosswalk.
Where's this now, right?
Sorry.
Coming down
So-
Whitfield
Down
here
here, over here.
to make this turn.
If you're coming down Whitfield, there's a big SUV parked in that spot.
Yes.
And there's a crosswalk here. You can barely see someone before they're in the middle of the crosswalk.
Yeah, that's true.
If this is a sidewalk here and you're having people park parallel here and here, aren't you going to have the same kind of issue?
Well, no, this is in the lot and
Right.
the buildings.
But this is the sidewalk, right? The
Yeah,
blue?
but this is about, it's about 10 feet wide or something like that. This is quite wide here.
As opposed to what's the crosswalk?
They'll have a stop sign with a stop bar right at the edge of this,
I guess my concern is, is there any way to limit the last spot so you can have some additional
we can look at it.
visibility, just because you.
Compact cars only or something
Yeah,
like
Yeah,
that.
you can put a sign up that says that.
Yeah, we
but-
can look at it. It's just like
I mean,
that.
from a practical sense, people do walk across that area now.
And people walk in the crosswalk too.
Well, no, that's true. That's true.
It's just like they had a couple.
But there's
more,
no parking now abutting the building. All the parking's in the center.
Right.
So as you're pulling up, you have, a better line of sight on the sidewalk than you would have if you put an Escalade parked
Well, I
in
mean,
that
they
last
had
spot.
I see what you're saying, I see your point, I mean, where the parking is here now, there's a double row diagonal parking. They park just about to where this blue line, the shaded area begins, and then there's like an island with a couple trees and the vendor sign, the merchant sign. So I really don't know, I'll have to take a look at it, but the sideline isn't that much improved more the way it is now than what it's with this new proposed design, because you have the signs and the trees with the island here, and, that's sort of obstructing sideline, but we'll take a look at that. I mean, we could do maybe something with compact cars or...
Mark, when we were talking about the CVS shopping center, and there was a frozen yogurt company going in, and Tom had a question about the curb height that would prevent a car from going over the curb and hitting the stores or hitting pedestrians. And that got me to thinking about this. What's the height difference between the sidewalks and the parking lot? Because you said they were going to be at the height of the store floors.
Right, but what we are doing, we're having the granite curb, there'll be a 6-inch curb from the sidewalk to the new pavement. So actually, this is all gonna come down about, well, give or take 6 inches, not exactly, because we have to get it, high points and low points to get it all to drain properly.
I mean, for comparison, Mark, it'd be almost like the curbing
Yeah,
in front of
normal.
Pages, the curbing like in
Right.
front of Pages on Boston Street, that's similar granite that we're gonna be
Right.
using in here, so 6 inches. or-
Yeah,
And there are no like standards that municipalities use for height of curb to prevent.
well, we have, that is pretty much our standard. I mean, I got the
It's part of our code.
details on here.
I know the answer to that.
Probably not a code for that.
That's public works.
Mark, are we gonna have, are we
Well,
putting
this-
wheel stops in as well? as the curb?
Possibly.
That's the
Uh,
other thing
that's
that
the
we're.
answer.
We kind of thought about it, there's already wheel stops there now, we might
Yeah.
just
Move over.
leave them there. But generally now, most of the sidewalks that we do in town, it's about a 6-inch curb.
When are we gonna start this project?
We're hopefully on advertising to bid. We think we'd like to maybe put out the bid for a contractor, maybe to be end of this month, beginning of next month. If everything comes in favorably, if the weather holds out, we may start sometime in March. with some
And
of
how
the
long do
work.
you think it'll take?
Well, we hope to get it done by sometime in May.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it will be, we'll have to work with the merchants in order to, so that the disruption is minimal.
Well, we could probably make up for that by letting them put up more signs for the interim period.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian.
Is that all lighted?
I'm sorry?
It's going
Is that
to.
parking all lighted?
Not yet.
Yes, this proposed all new lighting.
And when does the lights go out? At what time? Or don't they?
At this point, I mean, it's lighted right now, there's 3 regular street lights. I don't know how long they stay on. It hasn't been discussed as far as time on how long the lights will stay on at night. I mean, there are definitely a number of merchants, restaurants there, they're open till, let's say, at least 9 o'clock. And,
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
At least.
That's a safety issue.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
this area, the floodlights that are there, I'm not certain if they go off at all. And I don't know if we've really thought about timing on this, I mean, the green lights stay on all night long, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty
What
sure.
do you mean, traffic lights?
You probably want them on.
I think you do, because we do have apartments above
Right.
numerous of these buildings. So from a safety standpoint, we probably will. And they're going to be the lighting fixtures on the green, so they're really not real bright to be throwing off.
Right,
you know.
that's what I understand, that you're Use the same.
Well,
technique.
they'll be the same fixture, but they will be a higher intensity than the lights on
Yeah.
the green.
What'd you say, 30?
About 37 watts
Yeah.
each, yeah.
I got a couple questions. So my first one is it can an emergency vehicle with the new proposed concrete sidewalks and brick sidewalks and elevated granite curbs, can an emergency vehicle with the islands and everything make it in here and turn? Do we have
Yes.
enough radius?
We
with
took
cars parked?
we took their template, radius template, and we overlaid it throughout this whole area here. There's no problem in through here. With what we will have to do with these islands here, they're going to be either flush or maybe gently sloping mountable types of curbs for the fire truck to get around. And a fire truck will be able to make this turn here and come right next to the building here and come back out. They probably won't be able to come around here, make a 180 degree, but they can go like this, come around and come back out. And there's an entrance here that's about enough for a car or so. And emergency services have recommended that we leave that open as it is now. They said that they may need that sometimes in case of emergency.
Second question, only because I see this as a potential issue, which you were referring to with the snow plowing. One, does the town just plow that section up there, and is it the private owners that plow down? And then really, is there a collaboration, because clearly there's going to have to be a lot of removal here, and is the town going to be responsible for paying that in our tax dollars to remove it from the private property? Is what I'm really looking at.
The answer to your first question is yes, the town does plow the town-owned portion. The rest of it, my understanding, is plowed by the people that own the property. The town, in conjunction with the merchants, are looking at some type of a plan, collaborative effort. Nothing's been firmed up yet, but how to remove the snow or how to plow it. It would not be, the way I understand it, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the town would be responsible, I guess you're saying financially, for its own area here, and the other property owners would be financially responsible for their equivalent area. That's the understanding right now.
Yeah, I mean, we have this winter to go through. They have already narrowed down their snow plowing to 2 different contractors. And I think it's probably even going to start this year, if needed, as needed, where one of those 2 contractors will plow the town's section. The town will pay our prorated share for the section, but Jim and everybody else from a town standpoint felt, obviously they want this lot cleaned out first thing in the morning, and the town's out cleaning roads. So we said, hey, we could work, you could have your people come in and do it, and we'll pay our fair share. The objective for next winter is to have one contractor to be able to come in and do it all. And we're talking snow removal, not just snow plowing. So that's going to be factored into the contract and how this whole area in total is looked at. There are still some areas that, they could push snow into, some of these areas, they'll still be able to push snow. But one of the things we're trying to, if you look in the past, right in here, right past here, is where the mountains kind of build up. And we were hoping, there is a big spruce tree here in that middle that's actually going to come down to help improve sight lines and just general feel when you're looking for a more open field. And that island is going to be lower growing kind of things, just to give you the vegetation, more park-like feel. But we don't want it to become a big sightline obstacle either.
So currently the town uses its employees to clear the snow from this and maintain this. And the plan is to take that work away from the town employees. Is that correct? That from what you're saying? In other words, is the town going to be firing employees?
No, not at all.
No,
Not at all.
they have.
Is that their overall plan, though, is to cut back on employees' hours?
Well, I don't want to oversimplify it. It's this section that the town goes in and does.
Right.
We'll be able to redeploy those people to get them out on, whether it's first town roads, but we still have plenty of town sidewalks and other parking lots for town, this,
Right.
buildings. So, I mean, there might be,
If I
every
were-
snowfall might be an hour of savings type of thing. It's not like,
If I were the union representative for the town employees, that would be a problem for me.
Well, let me
But-
chime in on that.
Go ahead.
Having been on Public Works,
Yeah.
we end up doing contracting and bringing in temporary people in the snow season. So that, nobody's gonna lose their job over that.
Okay.
That's correct.
and the sidewalks that are being added, it will be the building owner's responsibilities to keep those clear, just like they are on the front of the buildings. But
So
they've
there's-
agreed to that as well.
There's no added liability issues for the town in terms of if someone slips and falls, it's still gonna be to the property owner, even though the town did the work and paid for the work. The property owner's still gonna be ultimately liable for any injuries that occur, right?
Right, I mean, there'll be like, for the first year after the construction, I mean, there'll be some sort of a guarantee from the contractor. It won't be immediate, but then after that, which is usually by that time, it's like any other infrastructure that's done in town. It's usually, if a contractor comes in, they usually, there's like a year guarantee,
Right, no,
Well, I think he's worried that if somebody now
Right.
falls on a sidewalk in an area where there wasn't a sidewalk before,
And we did it. We put the sidewalk there. Is the town opening itself up to a lawsuit?
No, because it's on private, it's that portion, there is, the portion that has a sidewalk is pretty much going to be property other than the town-owned portion, where there's gonna be sort of like these islands would be in the town-owned portion, but they're gonna be either be flush or they're gonna be very sloping, they're gonna be mountable, so they wouldn't be really trippable.
Even if they are triple, basically the town's just paying for the private landowner. It'd be like if they hired a contractor and they paid for it, it's gonna be the property owner no matter what.
Okay.
The only time the town might have an issue is during the construction phase.
Well, to add to that, what the town will have to do is obtain a temporary construction easement for the work that's gonna be done on adjacent property.
Right.
That will have to be done, but they would only be temporary. Once construction is finished, then they would expire.
Mark, is this gonna be one of the projects we do ourselves? Or are we gonna subcontract it?
Well, right now, we're hoping, or we're planning that we would have one outside contractor come in, do all the work, and the engineering department would oversee the construction. If for some reason that doesn't happen, we have a backup plan where some of the facets of this construction can be done by Public Works or department.
in the initial discussions, or where we're at right now, we're trying to get one contractor to assume full responsibility and then have that person responsible for the staging. I think Mark and Jim are thinking first all the sidewalks are gonna go in to get that perimeter work all done. And then when it gets into digging to get the light fixtures, the power to the light fixtures, and then ultimately starting to do the parking lot, there's, again, a lot of discussions have to go, continue with the building owners. We've had conversations conceptually. We may expect the contractors to do work at night or possibly over weekends, so we can stage sections of the parking lot once the sidewalks are in, the lighting is in, and then we want to get it paved as quickly as we can so that we don't disrupt business any more than is going to probably be reasonable.
Well, good. Other questions? Bill? Right?
Nope.
Tom? George?
Nope.
Rich?
No,
Got a motion?
Do we have a motion to close the, or do we even?
Well, it's not a public
Yeah,
hearing, so we just need a motion.
Make a
to-
motion to approve it, please.
Make a motion that we approve the town of Guilford's application for Water Street to their site plan revision to reconstruct municipal parking lot, install sidewalks, reconfigure the parking lot, storm drainage systems, and install traffic islands and crosswalks.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Good work,
Thank you.
Mark. Nice presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian. Always good to have you weigh in.
Well, Mark, I give this guy a lot of credit. He's done a heck of a lot of work on this.
Oh, Mark's a great guy. Love his work. Okay. John Miller Autographics. Autographics, that's a great name. I didn't put it together until I saw it.
I'm John Miller from Signs by Autographics. The Guilford Veterinary Hospital has asked me to design a nicer looking, more visible sign for their property. Right now they have this kind of concrete cylindrical thing in their front yard that they've wrapped something around. It looks pretty terrible. We came up with this design. They currently have 25 square feet of signage on their property. This sign is 35 square feet. It's closer to the street, so it's more visible, although it's within the correct setback. It's double-sided, so it can be seen from both directions.
Is the cement tube coming out?
Excuse me?
Is that cement tube coming out?
I don't know what that tube is. What I said to them is at least let's put some plantings around it to kind of hide it. It's ridiculous.
I never understood what that was.
It looks like it's an entrance to a bomb shelter or
Yeah,
something.
or something.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, I said to them, aside from plantings around the sign itself, if they did some shrubs around that, just kind of hit it so it would go away visually.
Interior illuminated?
No, this is a car. This is a car.
So good.
For the record,
Funny,
by the
genuinely
way,
funny.
The signs
I love
that those guys are proposing are really a huge upgrade to what's there now. Yes. I wasn't going to say anything, but I was in favor of it. Not that that matters. No, this is a carved sign with gold leaf letters.
And we're good. We're good with the square footage is. Everything's good.
No, that's why they're before you, because this is in a residential zone. And they're asking for more signage than what's there now. And the regulation says that the Planning and Zoning Commission has to approve it.
Is there a regulation in terms of the signage that size that is allowed?
They can go up to 48 square feet.
Is it gonna be, seriously, is it gonna have lights on it at night shining on it?
Correct. Solar lights. It would be way too expensive to trench electricity out there. So these would be solar lights.
Your neighbor, you have there's a cemetery across the street, right?
Correct.
And then there's the safety zone.
The bus
Further
depot.
down,
The
yep.
bus hub, the safety zone.
Correct.
And then another commercial.
Yeah.
So residential's actually a little bit off to,
No, you can go up.
yeah, that's right, a little bit off to the right.
Just
right?
I couldn't see a
Yeah.
residential dwelling at all.
The other neighbor is painting
So
their
Reggie,
house.
if they're leaving the existing sign, that means they're gonna be at 60 square feet?
No, that sign will have to go.
Can we make that a contingency?
Yes, that'll be condition, even if they just paint that thing over white.
Oh, they should take that away, that's nasty.
But we can't enforce that.
Never understood
The
that.
sign
They should,
that's
but
on
we can't. I
there
think we
would
can
have-
We could just tell them they can't put another sign up.
Right, so it's like a missile silo sticking out of the ground.
This will be a big upgrade to that property, and as you all recall, since,
That's what it is. I wonder what that was.
It's a Minuteman silo.
since the road's been upgraded and we put the bridge across the River Kwai there,
Yep.
and the traffic now comes back and forth, they do need some better visibility. Traffic's moving quicker than it used to, and this, I think, is a big improvement,
Yeah, they
especially
just-
with gold leaf lettering.
Yeah, that would be nice to have signs like that that say, "Welcome to Guilford," right on Route 1, an agricultural community.
Many
But
towns have those.
I know, but most towns do. I don't know why we don't.
All you gotta do is hire us. As it is
do.
now, we do all of the signs for your parks.
If not, I'll put one up.
Green signs for the parks.
Development, we'll sponsor one.
Actually, you know what? It could be that a nice sign like this that says, "Welcome to Guilford Agricultural Community," and then on the bottom it says, "Sponsored by DeAndrea."
Sign up tomorrow.
Joe?
All right.
Okay, good. Well, all right, so do we have a motion? Do we need a motion?
Move that we approve.
No, you don't, but you can go ahead and vote on it, vote to
With the
approve
condition that they. do
that they
something with the
remove
missile
the
silo.
existing sign
Remove
once
the
the new
existing
one
sign.
is erected.
At least, what do you mean?
Painted over white.
Painted some other color. Just get dark
Yeah,
Well, they just can't have two signs up. That's the
right.
point.
No, we intend to remove the sign that's wrapped around this thing. I don't know if this is something that has to be on their site, I really don't understand what it is. But if shrubs were planted around it, that would hide it.
As long as it's not a sign. As long as it's not a sign, you're good.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
Second.
so- You seconded that?
Yep.
All those in favor? Congratulations.
Thank you for your patience.
Appreciate it. Sorry we kept you out so late. Dennis Carroll, 101 Fair Street.
Is he here?
Oh, this is the one that,
Parking.
and last but not least. This is gonna be like a French restaurant, isn't it? Do we have anybody?
Nope.
No. Receive and,
Oh,
Receive it.
Yeah, just receive it. I'll make a motion to receive the application.
Second.
And then we'll vote, I guess, first, so.
all those in favor?
Aye. And then I'll make a motion that we table it until the next meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Congratulations. All right, what else we got? Special permits. We received and set hearing dates. Oh, no, wait, yes.
Yep.
And this is Mac Management, what is this? Oh, this is,
Mark Wells,
oh, I know what this is, yes. So what day are we setting for this?
217.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Michael Russo, Trout Lily. Same thing, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Look at this bill, $600. $600 of taxpayer money.
Move to pay the bill? Yeah.
Second.
Yes.
600,
There was a shot.
all those in favor, spending 600 taxpayer dollars.
Move
Part
to
of that's
adjourn.
because we have so many second hearings.
All those in favor? Good night, everybody. $600.
That was a, you didn't hear that.
God.